Jesus was introducing a radical new concept to religious people in his day. Religion often uses external measures to deal with internal issues. I mean, this is what all the purity laws were about in the Old Testament. And Pharisees were experts of this, of what you could touch and what you couldn't touch, what you could do, what you couldn't do, what you could say, what you couldn't say, because they were trying to keep themselves clean. And the way they were trying to keep themselves clean was by dealing with the outside. But Jesus came with this radical new teaching. It's a kingdom-based teaching that would change religious activity forever. See, Jesus said it wasn't what you touched outside of you that the problem was. The source of uncleanliness was not external, it was internal. The problem isn't outside of you, the problem is inside of you. And unless you're dealing with the inside problem, then the outside problem is never going to be enough to keep away from, but it's never going to be enough to make you clean. It's what we call an inside-out spiritual paradigm shift. I mean, Jesus put it like this in the Gospel of Mark. He's talking to everybody, religious leaders, the Pharisees, the folks that were trying to follow the law, as well as everybody that was just trying to do what it was they knew to do to follow God. He says to them, "Come, all who listen and try to understand. It's not what goes into your body that defiles you. You are defiled by what comes from your heart." Recently, I was in Rwanda. I was talking to World Relief about how they were dealing with communities that had been affected by a genocide, violence that was occurring, a violent act so terrible. We call it a genocide. Over 800,000 people died, slaughtered to death in over a month. And I was asking them, how are you doing this reconciliation? How are you transforming communities? How are people choosing forgiveness as a way of life, which is happening all over Rwanda? It's a beautiful example of the power of forgiveness. They talked to me about this mindset training. They're using the teachings of Jesus to actually change people's conversation, not just from behavior-based. So they use an image of a tree, and they talk about how most of our conversations rotate around the fruit we see on the tree. If it's bad fruit, like anger or violence or fear, we're like, oh, it's terrible, we don't want that fruit. But they said, we really don't spend enough time talking not about the fruit of the tree, but about the root of the tree. See, the root are the things that we believe. The root are the things that are inside of our heart. The root are the things that we really value. Those are the conversations that'll make the fruit different. Those are the conversations we need to pay attention to. Let me ask you this, are you paying more attention to what's outside of you? Might it be time to take the words of Jesus for your life and deal with what's inside of you? Deal with your heart where you can be made clean.